Jim Davidson destroyed Kier Starmer at PMQs, his response leaves everyone worried. In the grand halls of Westminster, the tension was palpable as Prime Minister's questions, PMQs, approached. The usual banter and bickering among politicians were overshadowed by an unexpected showdown that would leave the nation buzzing. Jim Davidson, the controversial comedian, was set to take on Kier Starmer, the leader of the opposition. But this wasn't just any political exchange, it was a clash that would reverberate far beyond the chamber, drawing in the royal family and the public alike. The day began with a sense of anticipation. Social media was abuzz with speculation about what Davidson, known for his sharp tongue and unapologetic humor, would bring to the table. Would he stick to comedy, or would he unleash a torrent of criticism aimed at Starmer? As the clock ticked closer to noon, viewers were glued to their screens, eager to witness the unfolding drama. As the session started, Starmer stood confidently at the dispatch box, ready to challenge the Prime Minister on pressing issues like healthcare and education. However, Davidson, seated in the gallery, seemed uncharacteristically quiet. This was not the boisterous figure the public was used to. Instead, he wore a contemplative expression, as if plotting his next move. Then, just when the Prime Minister began to respond to Starmer's questions, Davidson sprang into action. He stood up, catching everyone off guard. The chamber fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. Mr. Speaker, he began, his voice cutting through the tension, I believe we need to talk about accountability, and who better to address that than our dear leader, Kier Starmer. Gasps echoed across the room. Davidson's unexpected intervention was both bold and unexpected. Starmer, taken aback, attempted to regain control. But Davidson, with the precision of a surgeon, dissected Starmer's previous policies, exposing inconsistencies that left the audience gasping. You speak of change, Kier, yet your actions tell a different story, he declared, his eyes flashing with intensity. As Davidson continued, viewers at home were glued to their screens. Each line delivered was met with gasps and murmurs from both the audience and fellow politicians. In this moment, Davidson transformed from comedian to fierce critic, and the stakes grew higher. What would Starmer's response be? Would he collapse under the pressure, or rise to the challenge? Starmer, visibly shaken, attempted to regain his composure. Jim, it's easy to throw stones from the sidelines, he retorted, but his voice lacked the conviction it usually held. Davidson, relentless, countered, but I'm not just throwing stones, Kier. I'm throwing light on the truth. The crowd erupted in applause, and it was clear that Davidson had struck a chord. With each exchange, the tension escalated. Starmer's supporters began to murmur, glancing at one another, concern etched on their faces. Was Davidson winning over even the most loyal of Starmer's base? The audience knew they were witnessing a pivotal moment, one that could shape the future of British politics. But just as Davidson appeared to have the upper hand, Starmer found his footing. Let's not forget, Jim, that comedy is not a substitute for governance, he challenged, attempting to shift the narrative. Yet Davidson didn't falter, instead, he leaned into Starmer's words. And let's not forget, Kier, that leadership requires more than just words, it requires action. The two men were locked in a verbal dance, each step igniting the passions of their supporters and critics alike. As Davidson's critiques grew sharper, Starmer's responses seemed increasingly defensive. The emotional stakes were rising, leaving viewers questioning who would emerge victorious in this battle of wits. As the session neared its conclusion, Davidson delivered a final blow. If you want to lead, Kier, you must first learn to listen. The people are speaking, but are you hearing them? The chamber erupted into applause, and for a moment, it felt as if the entire country was holding its breath. With the clock ticking down, Starmer's closing remarks seemed lackluster, almost a whisper against Davidson's thunderous presence. As the session ended, the fallout began. Social media exploded with reactions, some praising Davidson for his audacity, while others expressed concern about Starmer's ability to lead. And then, just when it seemed the dust was settling, news broke that would send shockwaves through the nation. An exclusive interview with a royal insider hinted that the royal family was closely monitoring the situation, concerned about the political climate and its implications for the monarchy itself. How would the royals respond to the chaos unfolding in Parliament? As viewers processed the day's events, one thing was clear, the story was far from over. The clash between Davidson and Starmer had opened a Pandora's box of questions about leadership, accountability, and the future of British politics. What would the royal family's reaction be? Would Davidson's performance lead to broader changes in the political landscape? Stay tuned, for the next chapter in this unfolding drama promises to be just as riveting, and the truth may be more shocking than we can imagine.